Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know those meme coins, Dogecoin and Shiba Inu? Well, they just took a pretty dramatic plunge, and the timing is peculiar. Let's just say that.
It definitely raises some eyebrows. I mean, a crash of over 5% in
Uh-huh.
just one day is never something to ignore. And especially when it happens right after the Federal Reserve makes a move that usually sends markets up.
Exactly. The Fed just cut interest rates by 25 basis points, which typically signals good news for investors. You'd think prices would climb. So what gives?
Well, it's not as straightforward as just looking at the rate cut. We got to dig a bit deeper into the message the Fed is trying to send. And to be honest, it's not as optimistic as some may have thought.
So there's more to this story than we initially see.
Absolutely. A rate cut can be seen as a positive thing, but the way it is presented and the commentary surrounding it can seriously impact how the market reacts. And in this case, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell had a very cautious tone in his speech.
Hmm. So it's not just about the numbers themselves,
hmm
but the overall feeling.
Exactly. The market can pick up on those subtle cues. And Powell's comments hinted at what we call a hawkish stance.
Hawkish. Is the Fed about to come swooping in and regulate everything?
Not quite hawkish in this sense means that the Fed is concerned about inflation and might not be done with raising rates just yet. They're signaling that they want to keep the economy from overheating, even if it means slowing things down a little bit.
So it's less about going after crypto and more about being cautious with the whole economy.
Right, and that caution, that little bit of uncertainty about the future, has spooked investors who were hoping for a clear signal that the good times would continue.
Makes sense. So even though we got that rate cut, this hawkish tone created a wave of uncertainty that rippled through crypto.
Exactly. It's all about managing expectations. And the market was expecting a more dovish, meaning optimistic and relaxed stance from the Fed. And when that didn't happen, investors got nervous and started pulling back from risky assets like our meme coins.
I see. So this uncertainty set the stage, but how did it directly impact Dogecoin? Was it already on the verge of a decline?
Even before the Fed's announcement, analysts were saying that Dogecoin was headed for a downturn. It seems like a dovish Fed might have helped them out, but that just didn't happen.
So Dogecoin was already kind of shaky, and the Fed's caution just gave it that extra push.
You could say that the market was ready to sell, and the Fed's less than optimistic tone was the perfect reason.
So the Fed's approach kind of threw things off. But what were some of those technical indicators that were already hinting at trouble for Dogecoin?
One key signal was 7 straight downward candles on the price chart. Basically, what that means is Dogecoin was closing lower each day for 7 days straight. It doesn't exactly scream strength.
Like a snowball rolling downhill,
Yeah.
picking up speed along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And to add to that, Dogecoin couldn't break through a crucial resistance level. It's called the macro 0.786 Fibonacci level. You can think of it like a ceiling. Buyers were struggling to get through it.
Declining prices and a ceiling, it can't break through. Doesn't sound like a recipe for success.
Well, not in the short term. But markets are rarely linear. What goes down must come up.
Right. The question is, what's going to make Dogecoin turn things around and start going back up?
Okay, so what should we be looking out for? What signs could point to a potential turnaround?
Breaking through that macro 0.786 Fibonacci level would be huge. If buyers can push past that resistance, it might signal a change and could open the door for more gains.
So we need to see the buyers take control from the sellers.
Exactly. And another thing to watch for is a change in those candlestick patterns we talked about.
Mm.
If we start seeing more bullish patterns, like those long green candles, that could mean things are turning around.
So it's all about looking for those subtle shifts, like reading between the lines.
Exactly, like deciphering the market's whispers.
Okay, so we've got the technical signs, the Fibonacci levels, candlestick patterns. But what about Bitcoin? How much does Dogecoin's fate depend on what Bitcoin does?
That's an important point. The crypto market is super interconnected, and Bitcoin being the biggest cryptocurrency usually sets the tone for the market. It's like when Bitcoin sneezes, Dogecoin gets a cold.
Exactly. So keeping an eye on Bitcoin is key. If Bitcoin starts to rally and breaks through those resistance levels, it could create a better environment for altcoins like Dogecoin.
Like Bitcoin is the rising tide, and all the other coins are just floating along with it.
That's a good way to put it. But it's not just about Bitcoin's price. News in the crypto space can influence things too, like good news about regulations or new technology. It can make everyone feel more optimistic, which helps even those coins that might seem a bit shaky sometimes.
So it's all connected, like a delicate ecosystem.
You got sentiment is contagious in crypto.
Okay, so we're watching those technical signs, keeping an eye on Bitcoin, and staying updated on the news. But let's not forget about the human side of things. Dogecoin is a meme coin. It's got this super passionate community. The Doge Army, they've played a big role in Dogecoin's rise. What role do they play now with all this market craziness?
Oh, the Doge Army. They're a force to be reckoned with. Their passion and all that social media presence. It's helped shape Dogecoin's story and has definitely influenced the market.
Like the hype machine, keeping the Dogecoin spirit alive.
You could say that what they do, all the social media activity and those trending hashtags, it creates a lot of buzz and can actually influence the market in ways we can't always predict.
So it's not all just about the data and the chart.
Not at all. The Doge Army proves that markets are driven by human emotions and beliefs too.
So even with the challenges Dogecoin is facing, the Doge Army is still out there fighting the good fight.
They are. They add a layer of unpredictability to an already complex story.
So many factors at play. But let's zoom out a little. Can Dogecoin actually overcome its origins as a joke and become a real player in the world of finance?
That's the big question, isn't it? And honestly, no one knows for sure.
It's like a mystery wrapped in a blockchain.
Exactly. Dogecoin's future is wide open. It could change the financial world, empower communities, or become a symbol of a new system. But it's got big challenges too.
So it's a battle between potential and risk. What are some of the biggest obstacles Dogecoin needs to overcome to succeed?
One challenge is its lack of real value. Unlike some other cryptocurrencies that have real-world uses certs, Dogecoin's value is mostly driven by speculation and how people feel about it. It makes it really sensitive to the whims of the market.
It's kind of fragile, like a house of cards.
Good analogy. And another challenge is all the regulations. Governments are still trying to figure out how to regulate cryptocurrencies. And meme coins are especially tough because they're so decentralized.
Like fitting a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the issue of scalability. If Dogecoin wants to be a mainstream payment system, it needs to be able to handle a ton of transactions really quickly. And that's not easy.
It sounds like a long road ahead. But even with all these challenges, there's still this sense of hope that Dogecoin could represent something much bigger.
Definitely. And that's what makes it so interesting. It's about community and innovation. It's pushing the boundaries. And the story is still being written.
So we've talked a lot about Dogecoin, but I want to zoom out a bit. What do meme coins like Dogecoin and Shiba Inu say about the bigger trends in finance and tech?
It's a really interesting question. You know, in a way, meme coins represent a kind of democratization of finance. They've given regular people a way to get involved in investing and maybe benefit from how crypto is growing.
So it's like they've made it easier for people to join in, even people who might not have been able to before.
Exactly. It's a big shift. It kind of shows that the old way of doing things in finance is changing and a new, more open system is emerging.
But let's be real. Meme coins are super volatile and risky. It's easy to get swept up in the excitement and make bad decisions.
Right. There's a downside to this new accessibility. It's like giving everyone a powerful tool, but not teaching them how to use it safely.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How do we find that balance between innovation and protecting people?
That's where regulations come in. Governments are trying to figure out how to protect investors without stopping the growth in the crypto space.
It's a tough balance.
Mm.
But there are ethical issues with meme coins too.
Mm.
We've seen market manipulation scams, people losing everything. How do we address that?
The crypto community needs to come together and develop a strong ethical framework, a set of values that prioritizes transparency and responsible behavior.
So a system where people are held accountable.
Yeah.
And good practices are rewarded.
Right. We need an environment where everyone understands that the future of crypto depends on trust and protecting investors.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. But going back to Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, where do you see them in the future? Will they disappear, or could they become something bigger?
That's the big question, and honestly, I don't know. Meme coins have definitely surprised us. They've survived a lot. But can they shake off that meme label and become something more lasting? Only time will tell.
So we just have to wait and see.
I guess so. But it's exciting to watch. The whole meme coin thing shows the power of community, how much people love speculation, and just how unpredictable the crypto market can be. It's a story that's still unfolding, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Well said. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive into meme coins. It's been a wild ride full of surprises and new ideas.
It's been great exploring this with you.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. The crypto world never stops changing. So keep learning, stay curious, and as always, invest responsibly.